Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a deep dive into the Khainite Shadowstalkers. I'll be getting all the information for this video from the WARCRY supplement book, the Sentinels of Order, and we'll go through a little bit of background about the Khainite Shadowstalkers and how they fit into the world of WARCRY before looking at their abilities for the leaders and the fighters, and then going through all the fighter cards for all the different fighters available for this warband. And we'll use the Games Workshop website to go through and show you all the different sets you can use for this particular warband. Khainite Shadowstalkers are a great warband, and these are a specific set that were built for WARCRY, so you can pick them up in the Catacombs box set or separately on their own as a separate warband box. So either way, I can highly recommend. They're really fun to play. So let's get started with the video and take a look at a little bit of the background and see how they fit in to the world of WARCRY. The Daughters of Khain are a fearsome cult that exults in the spilling of fresh blood. Honouring the Lord of Murder, these elven warriors fight to fulfil the aims of their true mistress, the Shadow Queen Morathi. Perhaps the most sinister of Morathi's agents are her Shadowstalkers, empowered with mysterious magics and, it is said, the blood of the darkling creatures that lurk in the gloomiest corners of the 13 dominions. These elves wield shadow itself as a cloak and weapon alike. They can slip through darkness with ease, disappear entirely into rolling banks of murk, and even strangle an enemy with their own cast shadow, all without leaving the slightest trace of their presence. The source of these unsettling powers is the Murkath, or shade mark, granted to every Shadowstalker upon joining the ranks of the Secretive Order. Each of these brands is forged from wisps of pure unguent sorcery and endows the wearer with extraordinary supernatural abilities. Nevertheless, as with all things gifted by the Shadow Queen, there is a cost. One who bears the Murkath is eternally bound to Morathi's service, a prospect that grows ever more terrible as the Shadow Queen's skill in the art of soul manipulation deepens. Morathi has a special interest in the 8 points. The mutagenic molten realmstone known as Varanite, or Khain's blood by the Shadow Queen's will, played an instrumental role in her ascension to godhood, and Morathi's Shadowstalker agents continue to collect cakes of the substance for their mistress's sinister ends. There are also those Khainites who consider the constant slaughter in the Bloodwind spoil to be a gift. Some have made their way to the Reaver city of Karngrad, where their breathtaking skill in the blood pits has earned them a stay of execution. Others roam the land searching for warbands of any and all allegiances, to prey upon or terrifying monsters to match themselves against. For these elves, war is life, and each new day is a chance to offer praise to their bloodthirsty god. There we go, so that's a brief introduction to the Khainite Shadowstalkers and how they will fit in to the 8 points and the WARCRY narrative. But now let's have a look at the abilities, and we'll start by looking at 2 abilities that any of the fighters in the warband can use, as long as they've got this warband rune mark that you can see on the left. And it's these fighter abilities that really set the tone for the warband and give you an idea of how you might like to play them tactically. So the first one is a double called Shadow Leap, and until the end of this fighter's activation, this fighter can fly when making move actions. So the idea with this, again, is to get them covering the battlefield really fast and dotting around, kind of making the idea that they're in the shadows and you kind of can't see them, so they can move really quickly and swiftly from one part of the battlefield to the next and then strike at will from beneath those shadows. So really interesting ability to get started with, and this can really help you. They've got a great movement already, but being able to add that fly ability there to the movement that they have makes them really strong indeed. So that's the first one, but they've also got a triple called Dance of Death, and until the end of this fighter's activation, this fighter can finish disengage actions within 1 inch of enemy fighters. Now, I haven't used this one very much, but I guess the idea with this is that you keep in the fight if you want to with those more up close, powerful fighters if you want to. But for me, I don't really use this a lot. So yeah, this one doesn't come into play a lot in my games, but this might suit the way you want to play this warband. Now let's start looking at the fighter cards and the abilities for the individual fighters, and these are the easiest ones to buy. So if you're looking to start a Warcry Warband, then the Khainite Shadowstalkers come in their actual Warcry specific box set. So these are an original Warcry product, and they're coming for £32.50 RRP on the Games Workshop website. But at the end of the video, I'll show you where you can save up to 20% on that price. So you can save a bit of money and get started in Warcry at a really low cost. Now this set's going to give you all the fighters you need for a 1000-point warband, but you're only going to get one leader option, and that's this one, the Shroud Queen. But she's an awesome model and a great fighter, and it comes in at 190 points. You get a movement of 6, toughness 4, can take 20 wounds. We've got the leader rune mark, so we're going to get one leader ability here, and we've also got the Khainite Shadowstalkers rune mark, so we know we can use that Shadow Leap and Dance of Death if we want to. We've got 2 weapons. The first one is this long range weapon, which is like a kind of flail, and this is going to be 4 inches, and you're going to be able to make 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. But if you get really close, this is the best weapon to use. You've got the sword with a range of 1, making 4 attacks, strength 4, and now you're going to deal 2 to 5 on a crit instead. So you can certainly do some damage with the Shroud Queen in combat, but it's the ability that really makes this model an awesome leader, and it's one of my favourite abilities, I think, across all the different warbands. And here it is. This is a quad called Ensnaring Darkness. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible enemy fighters within 3 inches of this fighter. Instead, this fighter can draw their shadow blood, and if they do so, allocate 3 damage points to this fighter, and then a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible enemy fighters within 6 inches of this fighter. So this ability is so good, and if you can get in amongst a good number of the enemy fighters, then you can do some serious damage here. If you roll in 5s or 6s as well for that value of the ability, then it's just like a bomb going off amongst the enemy. So with the movement of 6, I've found in a couple of games now that I've used that movement for both my actions during one activation, and it's moved right in amongst it, got in about 5 range of about 5 of the enemy fighters, and then taken 3 damage points myself, and with a damage total of 20, 3's fine early on in the game for sure, and then just instantly dealt 6 damage points to every visible fighter within that 6 inches. So it really is a crazy ability, and if you get it right and you can get her in the right position, then it can be devastating for the enemy. Our next fighter that we get in this box set is the Slaughter Shade, and you've got a couple of options of how to build this one, but the first one is the Shadow Whip, and this comes in at 120 points, and you've got a movement of 5, toughness is 3, and you can take 12 wounds. We've got 2 other rune marks, so we're going to get 2 abilities you haven't seen yet. And with the weapon, with this Shadow Whip, you've got a nice range of 4. You can make 3 attacks, strength 4, and you're going to deal 2 to 4 on a crit. So for 120 points, this isn't bad at all. And you get 2 abilities. But it's having that range that's pretty important for this fighter. But with the abilities, they're really good. And the first one is a double called Cursed Darts. And for this, we pick a visible enemy fighter within 9 inches of this fighter and roll 2 dice. For each 4+, we allocate 2 damage points to that fighter. In addition, if either dice rolls a 6, we halve the move characteristic of that fighter until the end of the battle round. And so this double Cursed Darts is one I use a lot for the Khainite Shadowstalkers, and a lot of the fighters can use this. So this is really keeping you at a good distance. You know, you can be 9 inches away with these and just eat away at the enemy, just snip away at them, doing some damage. And when you play against a tough warband like the Scions of the Flame that are also included in the Warcry Catacombs box, then that tactic works really well. You don't want to get too close to them and engage them within a short range, so keeping that distance and just throwing Cursed Darts at them is really effective. And then also having this Shadow Whip gives you that 4-inch range to make an attack from as well. So really great double ability there. But this particular fighter also gets another double called Instrument of Cain, and a fighter can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack action made by them this activation. This fighter makes a bonus move action or a bonus attack action. So this is pretty handy to have as well. It's only a double, so you know you're going to get a good chance to use this, and you know with the nice 2 to 4 damage that you can put out with this Shadow Whip, there's a good chance you're going to be able to take some enemy down and then make use of this too. So a really nice ability, and I think having these 2 doubles for 120 points is great value. The next fighter we can make is the same model we would use for the Shadow Whip. So you only get 1 Slaughter Shade, so you have to choose between the Shadow Whip or the Umbral Spears if you only buy 1 set. Of course, you can get 2 sets and then have 1 of each if you want to. But again, this one's 120 points, same movement 5, toughness 3, take 12 damage, and we got the same rune marks as well. So the abilities are going to be exactly the same for this one. With a Spear, you're still getting that range as well, a range of 2, but you can make 4 attacks, strength 4, and you're only dealing 1 to 4 on a crit instead of 2 to 4. So for me, I went for the Shadow Whip and I built the Slaughter Shade with that weapon. I just really like the stats for it. You could put out a little bit more damage, not as many attacks, but certainly more damage, and you get that extra little bit of range as well. And with both of them having the same abilities, I found that was the best choice for me. Our next fighter is the Dark Flame Warlock with repeater crossbows, and you get 2 Dark Flame Warlocks in this box set. They look like these two, but you can put both of them with either the repeater crossbows or a Doomfire ring. So you've got options of how to build them. You could even build them both with the Doomfire ring or both with the repeater crossbows. It's up to you. But if you choose to use one or both of them as the repeater crossbows, they're going to come in at 100 points. They got movement 5, toughness 3, can take 8 damage. They got the Mystic Rune marks, so they're going to get an ability we haven't seen yet. And then with these crossbows, you've got a nice range of 8. You can make 4 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So you're not going to do a huge amount of damage, but you've got that nice range. That 8 range really is good. And, you know, having that movement of 5 as well means you can really keep a good distance between you and the enemy, certainly playing these tougher, slower opponents. And here's the fighter card for the Dark Flame Warlock with Doomfire ring. And this is what I went with. I went for one with repeater crossbows and one with a Doomfire ring. And I built them like the 2 models you can see on the screen here, because I thought they looked really cool like that. But if you go for the Doomfire ring as well, again, it's 100 points, same movement 5, toughness 3, 8 wounds, got that Mystic Rune mark. But you've got 2 weapon options here. The first one is this kind of mystical stat that we see a lot, but it's not going to do as much damage as we'd see on a leader. But we've got a range of minimum 3, maximum 7, 2 attacks, strength 3, and dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So that's not bad. And then if we get up close, we've got a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So you really wouldn't want to be using that weapon. It's not going to do an awful lot, but it's keeping that range again, making the most of that movement, and having it up to 7 range, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit is really nice to have. And for 100 points, I think it's great value. But we've still got to see what this mystic ability is, so let's have a look at that now. And this ability is a triple called Harness Shadow. Until the end of the battle round, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic to a minimum of 1 of attack actions made by enemy fighters that target a fighter within 3 inches of this fighter. I haven't used this ability an awful lot, but it's certainly good if you can get them close to some of the other fighters. Certainly attacking from range and really having a go at the enemy, and then if you're within 3 inches of a number of fighters, then they can all benefit from this Harness Shadow, which will limit the attacks being made against them. So not bad, but certainly not an ability that I use a lot. Now that leaves us with 5 different models in the set, and we can make either Shroud Blades with Cursed Swords or Shroud Blades with Umbral Spears with these. And we've got loads of different ways that we can mix and match. I went with 3 Cursed Swords and 2 Umbral Spears, but it's up to you how you want to play it and how you want to build them. But let's have a look at Cursed Swords first. So these are coming in at 90 points. They've got a nice movement 5, toughness 3, can take 8 wounds. They've got the double for Cursed Darts ability that we saw earlier on. And they've got to get up close now, so it's a range of 1, making 4 attacks. Strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So these you want to get up close to the enemy, use that double Cursed Darts. But with the Shroud Blade with Umbral Spear, again, these are going to be 90 points with a movement 5, toughness 3, 8 wounds, and the same Cursed Darts ability, but they've got a little bit extra range. So having that 2-inch range is really handy if you don't want to have to disengage. You can just attack from 2 inches away and then make a movement of 5. And going against some slower, heavier, stronger enemies, they're not going to catch you up if you move 5. They might only have a movement 3 or even 4, and they won't get close enough to attack you back. So having that spear is pretty handy, and it's still 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So that's not bad at all. So whether you go with the swords or the spear, you're going to be able to make use of this ability, which is a really great double. So that brings us to the end of all the different fighters now. And so in this box, you're going to get a total of 960 points, and you've got plenty of options of how to build it. This is what I put together for my warband, the Shroud Queen, the only leader, so that made sense. And then I went with the Slaughter Shade with Shadow Whip to get that range. I went with the Dark Flame Warlock with repeated crossbows, just because he looked really cool. And then I went with the Dark Flame Warlock with Doomfire Ring. Again, chose the coolest pose and went with that one. I've gone for 3 Cursed Swords Shroud Blades and 2 Umbral Spear Shroud Blades, and then that gave me plenty to be able to pay in a warband. But if you want to take these into a campaign, then you're either going to have to buy another box of the Khainite Shadowstalkers, or pick up this awesome box of Morgraith's Blade Coven that came with Warhammer Underworld's Beastgrave. And this is a great set. It's got 5 miniatures, but if you total up the points and then proxy those for the fighters we've just gone through, you're going to make over 1400 points. So you're going to have more than you need to play a campaign, and the models are all going to look different too, which I think is really great, because the Khainite Shadowstalkers are so unique. They've all got different poses and they all look so good. I think these would really complement it. And you can get this for under £20 if you wanted to, and if you look around on the different sites. But having these models look great. You've even got a Slaughter Shade that you could use with Shadow Whip there, which means you could make an Umbral Spear one with the Khainite Shadowstalkers box. So tons of options, and I think it's a really nice set. So if you picked up both of these together, you're going to end up getting a really nice warband, enough points for a narrative campaign play, and it's going to cost you less than £50. So I think a really nice way to go, and a good way to get started if you haven't played Warcry before too. If you like the look of these, then you can pick them up at the Games Workshop website, and the Shadowstalker is going to be $32.50 RRP. But if you go to Element Games, and I'll put a link in the description below, you can get them for £27.62 and also save on that Underworld set as well. But if you get the Catacombs box, it's only $93.75 at the moment, and then you get so much in that, it's well worth getting. You'll get 2 warbands, because you also get the Scions of the Flame, all that awesome terrain, the board, and everything you need, the books to get started. So that's a really good way to get started with Warcry. For under £100, I don't think you can go wrong for what's included there. I'll also put a link to Wayland Games, because they've got the Khainite Shadowstalkers even cheaper at $25.84. You can get the Sentinels of Order book that we've used for this video, and also the Catacombs set as well. So if you wanted to get all 3 of those things, or, well, you wouldn't need the Khainite Shadowstalkers if you get the Catacombs box, but if you wanted to get the book as well, then I think you can make some nice savings there. So I'll put links in the description to all of these, and there'll be affiliate links, but they won't cost you anything extra. In fact, you can save up to that 20-25%, and for every sale made through that link I get a small commission, so you're also supporting the channel too, so thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about the Khainite Shadowstalkers in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and if you played them already, share some of the tactics with everyone too. That would be awesome. If you like these deep dive videos, I'm working my way through all the warbands available for Warcry. I've done over 25 already, and I'll do a few more of the original Warcry warbands over the next couple of weeks, I think, because it's really fun to look at those as well as the other Age of Sigmar miniatures. So we'll do that really soon. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there.